Well, Yankee fans, you heard the dreaded two words from the baseball reaper, Tommy John. But is there still hope for 2025? Let's talk to Stacey Gotsulias and crossover.
You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to a Locked On MLB crossover. I am the host of Locked On MLB. My name is Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Today, we are crossing over with a veteran of the Locked On world. In fact, the person who brought me into the Locked On world, the host of Locked On Yankees. Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Stacey Gotsulias. I've been hosting Locked On Yankees since July of 2018.
July of 2018. I thought, wait, was Mike Pagliarulo still playing when you started hosting here?
Yeah.
You've been here a while, and the show is, as always, fantastic. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter, or whatever they're calling it these days, and on the Instagrams. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram, but the best way to get hold of me is point right down here on the YouTubes, and that's how I get your comments. Where can people follow you, Stacey?
I am on Blue Sky and I am at stacegotsbaseball.com on Blue
Yep.
Sky. That's my username.
Oh, I'm at Sully Baseball on Blue Sky, but I check Blue Sky about once every time Haley's Comet goes past. So it's not the best way to get a hold of me. The last show we did was another crossover. We're doing a bunch of crossovers as this season is slowly approaching, a couple of weeks away. Brandon Warren was guest. We did a crossover talking about the Minnesota Twins. And the trivia question was how many that Harmon Killebrew hit 573 home runs in his career. How many of them did he hit as a Twin? Not as a Senator, not as a Kansas City Royal. How many as a Twin? And Anna MD30 got it correct. She wrote, Harmon Killebrew hit 475 of his home runs as a Twin. Good job, Anna. I don't care if you looked it up or not. I'm glad we got someone to answer the trivia question to move on. All right, Stace, I've been talking on this show for the last couple of weeks saying that there is no one American League team that I think is a super team. I thought the Yankees are probably the best in the American League East, but they've had a couple of big Jenga pieces taken away from them.
Mm-hmm.
Today we got word another big Jenga piece got taken away, and this one was a doozy, and we hinted about it, but I didn't want to talk about it until we knew for sure that the Tommy John Reaper has come to Gerrit Cole. So keep in mind, we're trying to avoid any sort of explicit rating on the show here. What were your initial reactions to finding out that the Yankees ace is not going to pitch until 2026?
I yelled out an expletive because
Yeah.
how could you not if you're a Yankee fan? You knew it was coming because the news first came out Sunday that he was going to have the second opinion about the Tommy John. And as soon as I heard he was going to Dr. Elatrage, I was like, well, he's going to tell him to get it done.
Yeah.
I thought possibly, and I said this on our show for Monday show, I thought that maybe he was hoping that the second opinion would tell him maybe we could do that brace surgery instead of Tommy John. But it
Right.
wasn't. So they're doing the Tommy John on Tuesday. It's better to get it out of the way so his recovery time starts sooner. It's a big bummer. It would have been bad regardless, but it's even worse now because Heel's not going to pitch for the first probably 2 months. Clark
Right.
Schmidt's dealing with back issues. You don't know what you're going to get out of Carlos Rodon. You don't know what you're going to get out of Marcus Stroman, who has to step up. Then you have the rookie Will Warren, who's, basically auditioning for a spot. But I mean, he's probably going to get a spot because the Yankees are going to be
Yeah.
desperate to fill the rotation. And I try to explain to our viewers that, anyone who comes in is not going to replace Gerrit Cole. The rotation is just going to shift.
Mm-hmm.
So either Fried or Rodon's going to be the number one, and then the guy that they get, they'll tack on probably at the end in the number 5 spot. But compounded with Stanton being hurt, and not having a third baseman
Yeah.
and other things that happen, because I thought they had a pretty good offseason, minus the not getting a third baseman. But, getting Bellinger, getting Goldschmidt, getting Devin Williams, getting Max Fried, like they did a good job of filling spots that they needed to fill,
Mm.
getting over the Juan Soto loss. And this is just like,
Yeah,
you know,
I agree with you. I think that when you lose a quality player like Juan Soto, I love there were some people who are trying to downplay his quality after he left. Give me a break. The
come on.
guy's an elite MVP candidate.
Yeah.
And everyone knew he was a rental. The nanosecond he didn't sign the big honking contract with Washington, you knew he was going to test the free agent waters, as is his right. He didn't owe the fans of Washington anything. You know, two people have delivered World Series titles to the city of Washington, Walter Johnson and Juan Soto. He doesn't owe Washington a thing. And he didn't owe San Diego a thing. He didn't owe the Yankees a thing. They all knew he was going to do this. And the Yankees gave him a fair offer. This is not a situation like the Yankees, just let him go. But the deal with the Mets is what he wanted to do. Bless him. That's what he wanted to do. When you lose an MVP candidate, I think they reacted about as well as you could. They made sure it's the thing that I've always screamed from the rooftops. Make sure there's at least a major league replacement for the various roles. You know, Bellinger is a good player. He was an MVP, but it was a good pickup. It didn't cost him much. And you're hoping that, you're hoping you catch lightning in a bottle. Same thing with, Goldschmidt, who was an MVP just 2 years ago, which is a big step up from Anthony Rizzo. And I thought the Fried signing was very good. I mean, he's a little bit of a health risk, but he was one of the best pitchers available on the market, and that was a smart move. And I thought the Williams move was tremendous because even now, one of the reasons why I think the Yankees fans should not be in complete panic is they still have a good bullpen. They still have, it may not be the bridge to Mariano, but you know what? That's the Beatles. That's not going to happen again.
Right.
Parky got a really good reliever from Milwaukee, and save for a one pitch to Pete Alonso, he's been pretty much lights out. Um, there's still talent on the team there, and boy, oh boy, are they glad they didn't trade Marcus Stroman. Holy
Yeah.
crap!
Funny how that works out, huh? Because now it's like, oh, all right, well, thank goodness we didn't do that, because now we have another body to fill in the rotation. Maybe he'll be
I
the
think
5 and maybe someone
you
else will
said
step in at the 4.
I think you said that in the offseason when people were saying, "Oh, they got to trade him. There's not going to be room for him." There'll be room for him. What are you
Yeah, like I
talking about?
assumed there was gonna be an injury, but I just was not expecting this.
Yeah,
I was actually expecting Heel to be injured just because he pitched the most amount of innings he's ever pitched in his life last year, and he was running out of gas at the end of the season, and I thought, in the back of my mind, I thought to myself, "Yeah, Heel probably won't last the whole season, or maybe he won't even start the season on time," and
right.
that was what's the word? Prescient?
Prescient.
That's it,
But
prescient.
but yeah, you're going into this year remembering coming back from the World Series year. There's Nestor Cortez isn't there anymore. Now, granted, you got something back for him. It's not like he left, but
Yeah, you
you
got
don't have
Devin Williams back for him.
Yeah, I
That was
know. And so that's
amazing.
so that's why I don't look at that as necessarily a loss because
Yeah,
that's a trade you make 100 times out of 100. No offense, Nestor Cortez,
yeah.
um, who is not a reliever. Did someone tell Boone that he's not? Sorry, I shouldn't do that.
I will
Um,
complain about that. If I live to be 100, I will complain about that in the nursing home if I'm in one.
Tim Hill looking around. Am I hurt? Am I hurt? I
Yeah,
mean, not
and
that Tim Hill
Tim
is the
Hill's
second.
back, you
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
and Weaver's back too, right?
Mhm.
I mean, so there's depth in that bullpen. It's a good
Ian
bullpen.
Hamilton is back.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about Ian Hamilton. I knew there was
Yeah,
another name I forgot,
yeah.
but so yeah, this is you know uh, the but the injury to Cole can't really be downplayed. I think
Oh, no.
because
Certainly not.
I'm going to say this: the three best free agent signings the Yankees have made in the 21st century. He's the third. The best is Sabathia. I don't
Mm.
think there's any doubt about that. A very close second is Musina. And I think Cole is third. I mean, Cole. save for the wild card game in 2021 where he was probably hurt.
Yeah, the
He's done
hamstring.
e
Yeah.
he's done everything a Yankee fan could have asked from him. I mean, he pitched great. He was lights out in his 2 World Series starts, and he pitched well against Kansas City. I mean, he wasn't I mean, he did a good job against Kansas City. He pitched well against Cleveland a couple of years ago in the playoffs. I mean, he pitched well against Tampa in when in the division series against them a few years ago. I mean, he's been really good. And you can't ask for more than that. And man, this is there's gonna be a little bit of you're gonna ask Rodon to step up big time, which is a
Yeah.
scary sentence to say out loud.
Yeah, I would just like to say that last season, when I made my bold prediction for 24, I said that Rodon was gonna win 17 games. He won 16. So when he didn't win that 17th game, I was really mad, but I was awfully close.
You were awfully close. Well, I'll tell you what, when we come back, for all people that I'm gonna be doing this, I am going to, again, as a native New Englander, as seen on the Reverse the Curse of the Bambino HBO special, uh, I am going. God, I'm having a time saying this. Um, I will be saying some hopeful things about the Yankees. May God forgive my soul. Man, that took a lot of out of me just even saying that. I'm gonna need some energy, and with that, I'm gonna need some wonderful pistachios. How do I say positive things about the Yankees and have the stamina to move forward? Let me tell you something. I crack into a source of protein called wonderful pistachios. They're one of the highest protein nuts. Let me just look on the back here. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you keep feeling fuller longer. Now, I like the no shells, lightly salted. That's what I like. It's a perfect grab and go snack for my busy days, whether I'm teaching my class here or trying to come up with nice things to say about the Yankees, and I just need a quick protein boost. It's a go. Some people like to put the shells in. All right. I'm not that guy, but there are all sorts of different types of pistachios, lightly salted, heavily salted. There's a jalapeno thing or something going on. It's really good. And they got that grab and go ease. These little green wonders, they pack a protein punch. Got the satisfying crack of opening the shells if that's your thing. And let me tell you something, Stacey, let me make this clear. You need to get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Wonderful pistachios. It's in the name. All right. When I had on, we talked about the Guardians and the Twins in 2 recent um, podcasts I did. And I said the best thing going for them is geography, that they are in the Central
Mm,
and probably 87 to 88 wins will punch a ticket to October. The best thing for the Yankees is they play in the American League. Let's face it, the Yankees going into this year, even after losing Soto, were probably the best team in the American League. You lost an MVP candidate, and you're still probably the best team in the American League. Now, this is obviously a step back, but there is no team in the American League that is a juggernaut. You could have I think you could have 9 teams between 80 and 89 wins in the American League.
mhm.
I honestly think there's one team with no shot, and that's the White Sox.
Right.
And I'm including 2 teams that will be playing in a minor league stadium. Now, yes, the Angels are a long shot, but not impossible because the Astros are no longer the Astros. And while the Yankees just lost Juan Soto and Juan Soto and Gerrit Cole for this season, um, are the Red Sox already better than them? No, at least not on paper. The Orioles still have or Swiss cheese. There's so many holes in it. The Blue Jays are incompetent, and the Rays are going to be playing in a minor league stadium in Central Florida.
I mean, a very nice
Outdoors.
minor league stadium.
Yes, but I've been
Nicer
to
than the
Central
Trop.
I've I've been to Central Florida in the summer,
Yeah,
okay?
well, yeah, they already, switched some series, so they're playing, series that they would have been playing in, like, the dead of July, like, ugh, in
They
Central Fl
can't
I
switch
mean,
them all.
oof, I know, I know. I've been to
So
Central Florida in the summer, that is
oh, yeah. I lost,
brutal.
like, 25 pounds sweating. In fact, I got married right after I was there all summer, and I never was thinner nor more handsome in my life, and that may be good for some of the Rays who may be getting married in the off season, but in terms of the pitching staff, yikes, file that under, yikes. Am I off base in saying that the Yankees lost a potential MVP and Cy Young Award winner and can probably still win the division?
Mm, okay, yes. They're not gonna run away with it, obviously,
No,
but yes, I
no.
think there's a way that they can win by, like, 1 game. Like, there's gonna be, like it's gonna be like a cluster of
Yeah,
like, I think it's definitely gonna be at least a 3-team race
it could be a
at the top.
5.
Yeah,
It could be
that's
a
true.
5
Because
team
I
race.
think I think the Blue Jays and the Rays could be right up there. Like, I think there may be, like, 4 games separating all 5 teams.
Now look at I made the FanDuel is not sponsoring this episode, but here's the question. Is there a 90-win team in the American League?
Right. Because at this point, the Yankees, I think they went from after losing Cole, they went from, 94 to 88.
That make yeah, that's what that this feels like an 88-win team.
Yeah.
I would have and I think beforehand I would have said, you know, low to mid 90s. Yeah, I mean I think that feels about right.
Mhm.
I mean, you're asking a lot of the Carlos Rodons and the Marcus Stromans of the world, and you're asking a lot that you don't need an MVP performance from Bellinger or Goldschmidt. You just need good, solid bats more
Right.
than anything. But you look around, I mean, Houston's taken a massive step back.
Mhm.
Seattle is Seattle,
Right.
and Seattle is scary because they have really good pitching. But I'd bat 7th in Seattle right now, you know? Ken Griffey Sr. would bat 8th currently in his current condition.
I could bat ninth, and I can't even see out of this eye, so
Do you know what? You may have to platoon. You may have to platoon. I don't mean to put you down, Stacy, but and the A's had by the way, the A's had a terrific second half of the season. If you look, they played winning baseball for a big chunk of last year. I know I covered them, but they're going to be playing in Sacramento. I mean, you don't
Mm,
know what the psychological ramifications are of playing in a minor league ballpark all year where they have to share with the River Cats.
right. And the
And
heat too,
yeah,
also,
oh, yeah.
like, in
I went to a
we
game
talked
there in
about
the daytime. Yeah, it is oppressively hot.
yeah.
And the Angels, they're the Angels. They haven't had a winning record this decade, despite having good players on their team.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And they have the longest postseason drought, the Angels, the Trout drought. And then who in the Central? Cleveland is pretty good. I actually really like Detroit. I like what Detroit's doing.
Detroit made some good moves, and I really think that Gleyber Torres, with the fresh start,
Mhm.
I think he's gonna do really well for them. I feel that in my gut. I think being away from the Yankees, having a fresh start is gonna help him a lot. I think he's gonna contribute in a big way.
I'm right now. I am not making my official picks, but my two unofficial, where I'm leaning towards is I have the Tigers winning the Central and the Rangers winning the West.
Yeah.
Because first of all, it's every other year with Bochy, so we know how that works. But
Yeah.
but it's also they had a lot of players last year who just were either hurt or playing below their baseball card,
Yeah, and they got people
and
back and they made some
they
moves,
got some
yeah.
people back. And I think and they're scary. I would be, and the Astro, as I said, everyone is a little bit worse. I think the Red Sox had a really good offseason, bringing in Crochet, bringing in Bregman, eventually sitting down Devers and say, look at, this is, I know you're not the biggest Cora fan in the world, but his best strength is getting people on the same page of him and cheating. But look who said that. Everyone says that I'm too pro Red Sox and I trash the Astros. Notice what I say. I throw them in too. And of course, everyone in New England is being John the Baptist, saying, "Prepare ye the way of our three big prospects coming up there." And so they're obviously going to be the next you know bunch of stars who the Red Sox will eventually trade away over a contract dispute. But we'll get to that later. But I don't think they're ready. I think they'll probably be an 85 win team, but I don't think they're the best. I mean, I look at this. You look at the whole league, and every team is, well, I guess they're not bad.
Right. Right.
There's
It
no
really is.
Dodgers.
It
There's
really
no
is.
Phillies. There's no Braves. There's no Mets. There's no Diamondbacks. This would be the best team in the American League. I'm just saying. So Yankee fans, don't go to the George Washington Bridge and look for a quality spot yet, because you know you can still do it.
Yeah.
You know. Well, look, when we come back, I want to talk about one thing, and it is not Xanadu, but it is all about the fact that we are going to find out which year was the fluke. Was 2023 the fluke, or was 2024 the fluke? But first, I have to hit the right button. You know, Stacey, I'm all into big projects where I need supplies. And when I get supplies, I get them from the site made for skilled trades like I use. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, and I love plumbing, HVAC, this was all, I almost did Locked On HVAC, or electrical work. Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy to use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to get you getting the job right. Now, look, they have a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, and you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. You need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry leading service. And guess what? You're always going to talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge like me, their free Trademaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, discounts with every order. Can you ask for more of that? I can't. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Use promo code SHV, no dashes, for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Sing that jingle with me. It's supplyhouse.com. All right. This is going to be an interesting year for Yankee fandom because I can't talk as a Yankee fan because I'm a very bad Yankee fan. I'm such a bad Yankee fan that I'm a Red Sox fan. But you had back-to-back weird years.
Hmm.
You had the 2023 year where Aaron Judge was basically alone and afraid and then hurt. And despite a great season from Gerrit Cole, the team barely finished above 500, and they almost sent the team back to Baltimore. They were originally were the Orioles before they were the Highlanders. They almost kicked them out of New York. And then last year, they were really one bonehead decision in game one and one disastrous inning in game five away from having a 3-2 lead in the World Series and an absolutely devastated Dodgers rotation. And I think if they got back to LA, I think they would have won the series because the Dodgers pitching staff was on fumes at that point. Those are two very different years. And this year we're going to see if was 2023 a fluke or was 2024 a fluke? Or is this going to be more like those years before where they're good enough to make the playoffs and then they wind up, hitting a buzzsaw like the Astros? What do you think what is your expectation for this team? And do you think they're more likely to regress like they did in 2023 or have, let's face it, a wonderful year like they had with bad ending, but it was a wonderful year that they had last year?
I think somewhere in the middle.
Mhm.
I don't think they'll be as bad as 2023. 2023 was a fluke. It really
Mhm.
was, considering who was on the team. I think the Judge injury didn't help. He came back and started hitting again, but that,
Yeah.
2-month period without Judge was kind of bad. Rizzo getting his bell rung by Fernando Tatis's thigh also didn't help because Rizzo was the best hitter on the team up to that point. He had like a 304 average heading into that series with the Padres. He was just spraying the ball all over the place. And I was like, wow, if Anthony Rizzo's like this for the rest of the season, they're going to be in good shape. And then that happened. So I think there's a medium there. They're not going to be as good as they were in 2024, but I think they're going to luck out with the opponents that they have in 2025, like you said, because the American League is not that strong. As you said with the Central, I mean, the Twins, the Tigers, and the Guardians are thanking, and the Royals are thanking their lucky stars that they play the White Sox as much as they do, because there's no way that any of those teams are losing the season series to the White Sox. I will put money on that right now. There's no way, you
Put a
know.
FanDuel, put your money on that right now.
Yeah, that's a guarantee that those teams are gonna, finish with at least 10 wins against the White Sox at
Right.
minimum. So I really 2023 was the fluke to me. That was really odd. And for them to finish 82 and 80, I mean, people were really worried about, oh my God, are they going to finish under 500 for the first time since 1992? And I even thought to myself, I was like, wow, the last time that they finished under 500, I turned 18 that summer. That's crazy to think about. And thank God they didn't, because we didn't have to talk about that. It was bad enough it was a, bad season. They didn't make the playoffs. And I will say it was nice to have the month of October off from caring about baseball. Like, I watched the playoffs, but
Yeah.
it was good to be relaxed and stress-free. And then this past year
Yeah.
I was like, "Ugh, why do I want this? Why do I want to sit through this? It's not as fun in your 50s
Yeah.
going through playoff series as it was when I was in my 20s watching the
Well,
dynasty
also
teams,
when you were in your 20s, they were winning left and right as well. So it was a little bit, it was
True, but they also started losing in the 2000s, so I went through that phase as well, but, like, it's just so much more stressful now, and it's not as fun. It's just like, you know? So,
it's interesting when some of the most fun I've had as a baseball fan are years where I don't have a dog in the fight.
yeah.
Like the greatest World Series I ever saw was 1991. The Twins Braves World Series was amazing.
Oh,
But
yeah,
when
that
it
was a good
was
one.
Rangers Cardinals, I had no dog in that fight at all. And that was just a thrilling, wonderful World Series. And look at. I'm not trying to be a pessimist here because I've been saying very positive things about the Yankees, but there were other things that did fall in the Yankees' favor last year, like Rodon, pitching 175 innings and being for the most part pretty darn good, as opposed to the year before where he only pitched half a season and his ERA was nearly 7.
Yeah, that also
And it's,
didn't help in 2023. Yeah, his
so
first year
that
was awful.
so you're hoping that he's 2024 Rodon. You need him to be 2024
Yeah,
Rodon.
it's not hope, it's need. Yeah,
And,
especially
so
now.
like when you didn't have Cole for the first half of the season and Rodon and Heel picked up the slack, you're banking that Rodon is this Rodon again. And to be fair, when he pitched for Chicago and he pitched for San Francisco, he was closer to who he was last year than he was in 2023, but he's also going to be a year older. And what he'll really just what he did the first half of the season last year, especially when Cole was not pitching,
Yeah.
that was exactly what the doctor ordered. If I may speak for Yankee fandom, which I usually don't, that having him give a bunch of solid starts in the first half of the season kept them above water. Because lest we forget, they were neck and neck with Baltimore for pretty much the first half of the season. They put the aft thrusters on in the final part of the year and put the Baltimore in the dust. But if I'm not mistaken, Baltimore had the lead at the All-Star break.
Mhm.
And, you know, but and also I'm not one to give Cashman and Boone lots of credit, but I'll give Cashman credit when he acquired Jazz Chisholm last year because they needed a bat. They needed someone who wasn't an automatic out. It almost didn't matter what position he played. And when he came in, it charged the lineup a little bit. It gave it a little bit of a juice. And I'll give whomever made the decision to take Clay Holmes out of the closer role because he was killing them. And you do
13
what you
blown saves. Think about 13 blown saves. So even if he only messed up 8 times instead of 13 times, how much better the Yankees would have been and how farther ahead of Baltimore they would have been. Including, I mean, I think he blew at least 2 saves against Baltimore or 1. So
know, I know he did the when Verdugo went trying. There was the weird throw in the game just before the All-Star game.
yeah,
Um,
the Yankees are famous for having really bad games right before the All-Star break. It happened in 21 against the Astros where they were up like 7-2 and they were celebrating and then Altuve walked off and I'm like, "Could you guys
yeah,
stop doing this before the All-Star break? It's really annoying."
but like they discovered Weaver the way that most teams discover closers. Like you had Rivera for so long, you forgot the fact that most people have to find to
Oh,
dumpster dive
I
for.
talk about that on the show all the time. We were too spoiled by Mariano Rivera, and Yankee fans tend to think that that's how things work out. It's not how things work out. That's not how closers happen. He was an anomaly. Like, he was just yeah.
Did I ever tell you this? I can't believe I'm going on this tangent here for a second, but this is before Locked On or anything. I think I was just doing the Sully Baseball podcast. Was when Rivera got hurt shagging the fly balls,
Yeah.
and I was asked to be on a radio station in like Toledo. They were fans of me, and they wanted my thoughts on the Rivera injury, and they had Soriano, who they had
Yes,
acquired, and Soriano stepped right in and actually did a pretty good job as a
he did.
closer.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, here's what it is. Yankee fans had for a generation Sinatra in his prime every night, and then one day they woke up and they had Hall and Oates, and then Yankee fans go, 'Where's Sinatra?' And every other fan base is like, 'Hey, Hall and Oates are good. They've got a bunch of good hits. What are you complaining about? You got Hall and Oates.' Most teams love to have Hall and Oates. But we have Sinatra. Well, Sarah Smile, Say It Isn't So, Adult Education. Yeah, those are good songs. And Yankee fans were crushed but it's because when all you knew was Sinatra, and suddenly you have to deal with, I can't go for that. And they said, no can do. I hope I'm not in trouble.
That's one of my favorite Hall& Oates
Oh,
songs, by
that
the way.
might be my favorite one.
Yeah.
I can't go for that. I saw them in concert
I'm
at the
jealous.
Boston
I
Garden.
never did, and now they're never speaking again, and it stinks.
That's right. I saw them in concert the year that they did Out of Touch.
1980. Well, that came out
It,
fall of '84, but did
yeah,
you see them in
so we must
'85?
have seen it like winter of '85.
Yeah.
And the warm-up band, Boston's own Till Tuesday.
Oh, shush. Voices
Yeah,
carry.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going into our 80s music, which means we'll be in hour 3 of this podcast if we don't pull the brakes on it here. What give me an unofficial prediction
For wins?
for what will happen with the Yankees in how many wins and where they'll place.
87 wins, and they get a wild card spot.
Who do you see winning the division?
You're not gonna believe this when I say it.
I don't.
I f I feel like Boston's gonna win. I really do. I feel like I don't know, I like the moves that they made, and I
Me
think
too.
that if certain guys actually stay healthy, um, I think they have a good chance at winning the division because Baltimore didn't really do anything to make themselves that much better, and, um, I mean, the Blue Jays got Max Scherzer, but you never know what's going on with him either because his
Yeah.
back can go out or something, so, yeah, I
His eyes
really
will
feel like
change
and it
color.
might be like the 3rd wild card spot, but it's gonna be a wild card spot.
Um, I'm going to predict that the Yankees are going to make a blockbuster move at one point to fill they'll make a move at some point that I think they're going to win the division with 89 wins.
Ooh,
That's my prediction, and it's based upon someone we're not thinking about. They
yeah.
are going to pull the ripcord on a massive trade at one point, and it'll be enough to beat out Boston and Baltimore. I think Boston and Baltimore are going to win 85 to 87. I think they'll win by maybe on the final day of the season. You
Right.
know, it's going to be that close. And I think the last place team in the American League East is going to win 79 games. And the first place team is 10 games are going to separate first and last in the
Yeah.
American League East. That's my prediction. And I think the Yankees, just out of necessity, are going to pull off someone's going to dump a free agent. It's going to be like something like that. And the Yankees will acquire them and it'll work out. I don't want that to happen, but I think that's what will happen. So look at that. You picked the Red Sox and I picked the Yankees. Who says we're not objective? Stacey, let's do the trivia question. The
Oh,
trivia
okay.
question is Yankee related. It has to do with Aaron Judge, who was a first round pick in the 2013 draft. That first round also gave us another future MVP. What was the other future MVP other than Aaron Judge, who was drafted in the first round in 2013? Put your answers down here in the comment section of I almost said Yoo-hoo of YouTube. Stacey Gotsulias, where can they follow your great show?
Locked On Yankees on YouTube and anywhere you find podcasts. We don't have an account on Blue Sky yet, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't do Twitter anymore and I don't update that account, and I don't think anyone else does. So just subscribe to us on YouTube. That's the
Yeah,
easiest.
that's really the easiest thing. Just follow us on YouTube. That's where our links are. That's where the fun is. And opening day is in a couple weeks, and I'm working on the in memoriam video. I'm not going to have it done before the Japan series because that's weird. That shouldn't be opening day, but the in memoriam video will be done before the opening day, and there's going to be some heartstrings pulled because we have some big names who died this last year. All right, well, always good to end on death. Talking about the American League East and realizing that the Yankees have suffered a lot, but you know what? There's still no great team in the AL. That's Stacey Gotsulias, host of Locked On Yankees. My name is Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.